Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to a slightly different kind of theme now, because over the weekend, Innovate Finance, UNICEF, and Infosys ran the FinTech Jam. This makes me think of soft fruit and or jazz. I don't think either of those things are quite appropriate, but anyway, it is in fact a competition to find the next big idea, the next FinTech innovation that's going to make a positive social impact. And we have 3 winners, and you are going to have the opportunity now to hear from those 3 winners after the fierce competition that took place over the weekend. And I'm going to introduce the first one. Please welcome to the stage to give you a 5-minute pitch on his great idea, Stefan from Bank in a Box.
We want to empower local communities to offer cheap and fast microloans to their members. Banks have become bigger and bigger because there were massive economies of scale. But we live in a digital world now, and these economies of scale are no longer there. And some might even argue we're talking about this economics of scale. A bank can be small again. With the help of the blockchain technology to record transactions and digital wallets, literally everybody can run a micro-lending platform with an iPad. Bank in a Box is not a micro-lender itself. Bank in a Box offers local communities the toolkit to operate their own microlending service. In that box, you find the technology, you find the governance, and some money to kick it off. But how does it work in practice? So once we've identified a suitable community, and a community in this regard can be anything. It can be a slum in India, it can be a religious community, or linked to a school. Once that is identified, we deposit a sum of funds, let's say 10,000, which enables 200 microloans or $50 in one of our partner banks. Members of that community can then apply via smartphone for a microloan. And a credit council of that community, which is democratically elected, can then approve or disapprove the loan within our corporate governance guidelines. You can see everything happens really transparent. There's no overhead costs involved, and it is fast. Transactions are recorded on the blockchain, so transparent. Let me conclude with a word that was said earlier today. The biggest taxi company in the world doesn't operate any cars. The biggest hotel company doesn't operate any hotels. Maybe in the future we can add one more thing. The biggest microlending company doesn't actually issue any loans. We want to become the Uber of microlending. If you want to help us to achieve this, check out bankinabox.org or speak to us on stand number 63. Thanks.
That one's Bank in a Box, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Stefan. Right, next up, another opportunity for you to spot the next big thing and invest, which I think is the whole point. I would like to introduce, please, Catherine Crisp from UNICEF, who is going to introduce, in turn, the next winner. Catherine.
Probably wondering why we're here today in front of an audience of bankers and techies. But on the one hand, financial inclusion is fundamental to children's rights, and you've heard some of that already in the last session on refugee and technology. And also it's about, how do we make sure families have financial inclusion so that they have access to life-saving drugs and education. On the other hand, we're also very interested here in the UK around what FinTech could bring to future donation mechanisms. So how can we continue to raise vital funds for children around the world? So the challenge that we set for the Jam was how can we replicate the frictionless experience of giving via SMS in a digital age? And I have to say, I was absolutely blown away by the quality of responses that we got. The runners-up included chatbots to facilitate and support donations, and using a contactless payment mechanism and the blockchain to verify identity for gift aid, both of which are really interesting areas. But the winners today were Goat Inc. The judges were very impressed by the combination of social and behavioural economics and the sort of use of upcoming instant messenger platforms. So over to Rory from Goat Inc. to pitch his winning idea, or their winning idea.
Hello, I'm Rory from Goat Inc. At Goat, we believe that people are inherently good. When they hear of a worthwhile cause, they want to help. but giving needs to be easy. SMS micro-donations have helped solve this problem, but they're limited. UNICEF came to us with a challenge: take the ease and simplicity of SMS micro-donations to the next level. You might be wondering what's wrong with SMS. Well, during the 2014 Commonwealth Games, 600,000 people donated £5 over 8 minutes from just one UNICEF campaign. This sounds great, but imagine if those 600,000 people, instead of donating £5 in their own name, took it and made the donation on behalf of 5 of their friends at a rate of just £1 per friend. By doing this, they challenged their friends to pay it forward and continue the donation chain. Instead of an 8-minute campaign, these donations will continue to grow on and on exponentially. So how would this work? Well, simply using our relay technology, which is directly integrated with Facebook Messenger payments, we can make this happen really easily. Instead of UNICEF having to market to their viewers become the marketing channel, directly activating their own friends through Facebook. This might not sound like a big deal, but for UNICEF, 22 pence in every pound is spent on marketing. We all know the Ice Bucket Challenge. Everybody all over the world saw it. But did you know that only 1 in 10 of those who pledged actually donated? And even with this super low conversion rate, they still managed to raise $120 million. Using our platform to donate on behalf of a friend takes the payment at the point of pledge, and this increases accountability and therefore the amount of funds raised. Not only this, but imagine competing with your friends to try and grow the longest donation chain. UNICEF would like to launch this with us on New Year's Eve using their celebrity ambassadors to help kickstart the relay chains. Our goal is to turn the power of a single donation into an exponential return. For those of you in the room who would like to use FinTech for good, or for anyone else who wants to know why we're called GOAT, you can come and find us on table 63. Thanks.
Congratulations, Rory from GOAT. Next, I'm delighted to introduce Yusuf Bashir from Infosys to, in turn, introduce the third winner in this FinTech Jam.
Well, it's my incredible honor to introduce the winners of the Infosys Challenge. The Infosys Challenge is one of financial inclusion. One of the big challenges of our day is extending financial services to those who are in rural areas or places where there's no infrastructure or no technology. In this financial services challenge that we had set, the winners, SVG, really approached it with a very innovative solution where they looked at one of the biggest humanitarian crises of our time, which is the refugee crisis, and said that how could we apply micro-lending to this particular problem and come up with a feasible model that utilizes both technology as well as the NGO network already on the ground, and do so in a way that doesn't exploit or take advantage of the need of those who actually need those microloans. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome the winners, Tom and Thomas from SVG.
Refugees are entrepreneurs. And like all entrepreneurs, they want to scale and grow their businesses. And this is most evident in a place called Zatari, which was opened in 2012, and in short 4 years, it's actually grown to 83,000 people. When I don't really consider that no longer a camp, but more of a city. And in fact, it's actually the 4th largest city in Jordan. So considering this, the UN has actually begun to move away from a top-down structure and move towards self-organization, which has allowed the population to self-organize. And with self-organization has come entrepreneurship. And that is where we decided to frame our question within entrepreneurship. we wanted to enable, how do we enable entrepreneurs within refugee camps scale and grow their businesses? So our solution uses mobile payments, crowdfunding, and microfinance. And my colleague Tom now will run you through the idea.
Thank you, Thomas. Syrian Ventures Group aims to deliver a Kickstarter-style project to allow people around the world to lend money in order to fund small business growth in refugee camps. These loans will be administered in small increments in order to guarantee repayment to the lender, and they will be paid to an M-Pesa-style mobile payment account set up by the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur can then use this mobile payment service in order to purchase goods and services within and outside the refugee camp in order to grow their business, benefiting the wider community, allowing money to trickle down to other refugees. This ultimately provides a sustainable model for community-level growth within refugee camps. Sounds like a good idea, right? Someone's already doing it. We've got Kiva. They're crowdfunding microfinance loans globally. However, Kiva are working with microfinance institutions on the ground. These MFIs are often charging exorbitant interest rates of up to 30%. Syrian Ventures Group aims to cut through that middleman in order to cut through that 30% interest rate to deliver a better deal for entrepreneurs. There is a need for this service. There is a need for one of the most vulnerable groups in society to be able to grow and scale their business. Refugees are entrepreneurs. Please help us realize their vision for their business. Get in touch at SVG2Empower. That's at SVG2Empower. Follow the hashtag IFGS2016 for more information. Thank you very much.